We all have been guilty of wanting to change something about ourselves. If only I was taller. If only I was more athletic. If only I had curly hair. Well, what if you can do that with your own child? No, you don't have to have a kid with someone who has all the qualities you want to. You could just go into their chromosomal DNA and change the sequence to their genes to produce your own designer, D1 athlete, and model child. Yep, this is a product of genetic engineering. Now, one may think, isn't that a good thing? You can make your child born successful. Well, it isn't that easy or cheap. Genetic engineering is defined as the deliberate modifications of the characteristics of an organism by manipulating its genetic material. Genetic engineering is not only in humans, but are also used in plants, animals, and other foods. Genetically engineered food is called GMOs and can have unpredictable health risks if consumed regularly. As well as in animals, genetic engineering can just be downright unethical. For example, the glow-in-the-dark pig. Why in nature would a pig need to be glow-in-the-dark? Although there may be benefits to humans with genetic engineering to help with genetic diseases, the idea behind what could happen with the science can go to extreme. From the invention of the liger, designer babies, and pesticide-infected food, this is why genetic engineering should be limited for the public world. Genetic engineering has been founded on the backs and developed through the use of it via agriculture and food production. Genetic engineered food is called GMO, or genetically modified organisms. The non-GMO project is trying to bring awareness to this issue and the negative impacts it not only has on people, but also the planet and the environment. According to the non-GMO project, GMO safety is pretty much unknown. However, the few studies that have been done on the effects of GMO products have been negatively impactful for humans. According to the New York Times, a bill was just passed by the United States Department of Agriculture in 2020 requiring all GMO foods to have a label. So before this year, many people had no idea the food they are eating had its DNA changed, which is especially shown in corn and zucchini. GMOs require massive amounts of pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides, according to the non-GMOproject.org. Those things are highly poisonous and are used in the food we eat and are running through our water supplies. It also reduces genetic diversity. Plants who are more genetically diverse are more prone against droughts, fungus, and other insect invasions due to natural evolution. Genetically modified plants would reduce that aspect in many plants and would directly impact the product yield of the farmer. Genetically engineered food, or GMOs, are not only bad for a person, but also bad for the environment. Why trust the genetically modified vegetable when the natural one is proven to be clean and good for you? Animals have been on the forefront for the discovery and exploration of genetic engineering. However, it has gone too far and can just be unethical in some cases. Animals have always been used in scientific experiments to run trials on them before the human clinical trials. According to PETA, the animals in these trials can go through severe neurological torment and can display some psychoactive behaviors such as spinning in a circle constantly, pulling out their own fur, and other things. Genetic engineering is another trial being run on animals who have no control over their lives. One example is the featherless chicken. Big companies do it as easy for the farmer. No need to pluck out the feathers out of the chicken, which will increase productivity and consequently will increase profits. No. According to EnkiVillage.org, the featherless chicken are actually harmful to the chicken when outside. The feathers protect the chicken from harsh weathers and parasites. It's like feathers have a reason for being there in the first place. Another interesting use of genetic modification is the glow-in-the-dark animals. The use of glow-in-the-dark animals has been shown in pigs, rabbits, and even cats. Although it may look cool for your fuzzy friend to be glowing green when you shut your lights off at night, this is not what nature has intended. The idea of genetic engineering can be taken too far without the ethical standards that have to be met. Animals have no control on the experience given to them and can result in permanent psychological issues in the animal, which can harm them even more than the scientific experiments. Genetic engineering can actually have some benefits for humans with a genetic disorder. According to nyln.org, by manipulating genes in humans, scientists find a way to prevent people from suffering from otherwise hereditary conditions, which consequently can lead to a better life for a person. So if you or your spouse are a carrier for a genetic disease, with genetic engineering, you can prevent your child from having to live with that disability. Now this works great if you're rich. A normal procedure can cost up to $100,000. Genetic engineering is very expensive and risky because it changes a tiny nucleotide in your millions of genes in a person. Genetic engineering can help prevent genetic diseases if you have a couple $100,000 just laying around for this risky surgery. Now, one of the biggest controversies in genetic engineering would have to be the designer baby. A designer baby is where a parent can choose their child's gender, appearance, intelligence, disease, and even personality. According to futureforall.org, 3-parent babies are human offsprings with 3 genetic parents, created through a specialized form of in vitro fertilization, in which the future baby's mitochondrial DNA comes from a third party. So basically, DNA comes from mom, dad, and the already genetically perfect person you want your child to be like. There is a debate on this issue exactly. Since the baby is not completely the mother's and the father's genes, is it really biologically their child? According to biotech.com, the procedure for genetic modification in babies are not error-free. If done wrong, the embryo can be terminated, which is a miscarriage. If done wrong, as well as genetic modifications cannot evaluate every gene and mistakes can be made. There are many ethical and moral issues evident here. If a parent only wants to have a kid based on the appearance of how their child turns out, do they really have the right idea of parenting in mind? It takes away genetic diversity and personality between people, which is necessary to have a unique culture and lifestyle. And as mentioned earlier, will create class divide. Since the surgery procedure is so expensive, only the extremely wealthy will be able to afford it. The world will be split into 2, designer babies and non-designer babies, where designer babies will feel superior over the normal people in the world, which is a scenario that could happen according to futureforall.com or .org. Genetic engineering is not only unethical, but immoral too. From the pesticides in our food, the inhumane treatments in animals, and the god-forsaken designer babies, genetic engineering has more negatives than do positives. Unless, however, you are rich and young and can afford the surgery to design your own child, and then possibly design another one because your embryo accidentally got terminated when you decided you wanted to have an NFL football baby. Genetic engineering is a controversial topic that is still being studied and researched at this moment. However, the studies have shown so far the idea of GMOs is a no-go. Genetic engineering in all life forms need to have more regulation to be brought up to more ethical and moral standards so the world can stay safe, fresh, and unique.